Other lot party, quick tip, take two. Evidently, my other one was muted, so I'm going to have to start all over. So I hope this one is going live. So I am going to be pulling up these other sites just to make sure we're rolling again, and it looks like we are good. So, all right, now I've got my sound back. I'm going to go back into my recording again. I said at the beginning of the other one, because it was new, I was hoping it went live because this is a new little platform I'm using here to post live. And evidently, the microphone was on mute. So if you are watching this on Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, please share, like it. YouTube, please subscribe if you don't. If it's on podcast, if you're listening to podcasts, please check out the video because I'm going to show my screen and I want you to be able to see what we're talking about. So obviously things are slowing down a lot of dealerships lots. We're seeing wholesale values dropping. I think going into this new tax season, last tax season, shopper indexes. Matter of fact, I'm going to actually start showing my screen right now. Let's go into this screen right here. The shopper index of last spring, which was March 13th, you can see here was at 75 compared to the previous spring in 2021 at 88 compared to previous springs pre-COVID was at 100%. So I'd say last tax season, it was down 25% from previous springs. And if you look at this so far, this year's search index at December 10th is at 43. Last December, by Christmas time, it was at 50. We're not even at Christmas time yet. Every year that valley tends to come around that Christmas time. So I think that shopper index is going to continue to drop off. And so my point is, I don't know if we have a big spring. Now, obviously, it should be busier than December, should be busier than previous months. So you should be prepared for it. But you're going to want to go into that February, March range, mostly March, lean and clean. So what I'm going to go over is how not to manage your inventory going into those months over the next 60 days. We got December, we got January, and a little bit of February here. So kind of 60, 90 days. I'm going to show you a dealership here. Again, what was going on with the inventory for this dealership? Now, I see this all the time, especially, I started in Viato in 05. So what, that's 17 years ago. Gosh, dang, I'm getting old. 2005. And seen this phase over and over again. Sometimes it's a 60-day window. Sometimes it's a 90 or 120-day window. But what I want to point out to you is kind of, again, how not to manage your inventory. So this dealership, they don't have a ton of inventory. Just think of it in percentage-wise, though. Inventory level, we started with them in the back of September here. And you can see they had about 45, and it built up the green line to 47 units. Okay, inventory was up. Now, what happened is their sold percentage and volume. The gray line indicates sold percentage. Our goal is to have you sell 50% of your inventory in a 2-week period. So you're selling 100% of your inventory in a 4-week period. So this dealership going into, and I want to keep you in mind here, into September, the volume kicked up. Okay. Now, what happened then, if you look down here, what they were carrying back in that into September there, 29% of their inventory was sitting 60 plus days old. So what happened at the end of September, they blew out a lot of that aged car. And you could tell that because the age then dropped down to 15% or more of their inventory, and 0 to 15 jumped up to 41% of their inventory. Okay, so what happened here at the beginning of October is the dealer blew out a bunch of aged cars, replaced it with fresh cars up top. So as that fresh car inventory built up, the percentage sold dropped off. And what tends to happen is we sell some cars, and again, forget the numbers here. It's 20 to 25%. So if you have 100 cars, you're blowing out, 25% of your inventory. Then you're going to replacing them. And a lot of times, especially September, October, we're still paying up for cars. So if we're replacing them with purchases and stuff, we're paying up, transport and service. Takes a while to get them photoed. Our fresh sale rate tends to drop off at that point in time. Okay. And here's the phases that then we go into. Notice 0 to 15 is 42%. Weeks later, 16 to 30, the dark green jumps up to 30%. So back here, 16 to 30 was 16% of his inventory. All of a sudden, those cars bled through, and now 30% of their inventory is 16 to 30. Then guess what? We didn't increase our fresh sale rate on 0 to 30. We always call it first 30. You want to increase your gross, increase the amount of cars you sell in the first 30 days, but you have to have them there in the first place. So those cars then bled through, and now they turned into 31 to 45, the yellow line. Okay, so now those cars bled through, and now 29% of their inventory is sitting 31 to 45. So then guess what? Those cars turn into 46 to 60. And then look what happens 60 days later. At the end of November, 23% of their inventory is back to age. So again, back to their 2-week sale percentage. It drops off as they replace that fresh inventory. They don't increase their fresh sale rate. They want to hold out, because by the time we blow out 25% of our inventory on age cars, we go, oh, that sucked. Grosses were bad. Let's get back to selling cars and making money. We hold tight on some of this fresh stuff. The thing that I always say, the manager that tries to manage gross or try to control gross by managing gross ends up costing them gross. So a lot of times we're trying to manage or control gross. And what I mean by managing it has nothing to do with desking deals. It has to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to try to control gross by, we got a bunch of fresh cars. Let's give it a shot. Let's don't drop the price yet. I know the car's 20 days old, but we just got the photos done 3 days ago. So let me give it a little bit more time. We're trying to control the gross by managing it. In the meantime, the market's moving and we're not. So that's where their sale rate just kind of drops off. But look, where we get this big uptick again in volume and in sold percentage happens at the end of November, because they're back to aged inventory, and then they start selling. They're starting to sell out of that aged inventory and building up fresh again. So again, this is stuff, and I do want to show. I'll show you here, and I'll just go back to a period of time here. Again, you can see what percentage sold, and a high percentage of their sales, going back again to September, is coming out of aged cars. So, and where there's really no gross profit to be had. Okay, if you look at the markup on these cars, there's not as much profit to be had on those cars. So it's just here in the last, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks that we've gotten them to see these trending patterns and reacting to it, where we're increasing the amount of cars that are fresh. We're increasing the amount of their sales trying to go out fresh. So again, they're blowing out a bunch of aged inventory. If you look at percentage sold, it's aged cars again. So we're just hoping to help prevent this dealership from, repeating this step again. I want them to here's the thing. You got to decrease their middle bucket. And I'm going to go back to this chart again. It takes sometimes, if you have an aging problem, which this dealer did back in September, what we needed to do was cut off this middle bucket. We need to stop letting cars add to that problem. Okay. And so by doing what you need to do is 31 to 45, if you have an aging problem, should be less than 20% of your current inventory. So that's what we're doing right now. We squeezed off. If you notice this yellow and orange line, you squeeze off. Notice there's hardly any cars there, 17%. So what we do is squeezing off bleed through. Now that we have 18% sitting there, we got to decide what we want to do. Do we blow them all out now? Do we pace it out over a 2-month period? But it took a month or so just to get this into this area, and then to increase the sale rate on the age. Now take that age sale rate, start replacing it with fresh inventory. As you can see, they've done here. We're selling out of the middle bucket, replacing fresh stuff. We're selling out of age cars, replace it with fresh up. Now the next step is to start increasing that fresh sale rate. And again, that's isolating the cars, trying to figure out what cars are causing those problems. If you would, and again, I'll show you here what I was talking about. As you can see, they got you want to keep your middle bucket below 20% when you have an aging problem. And you can see they're at 17% here. I think I was talking, you guys weren't seeing it, again on a new platform. Sorry. So 17% of their inventory is 0 to 31 to 60 days old, which is good because now we've squeezed off that bleed through. So again, took 30, 45 days to get them to realize and get them to take that middle bucket, get it below 20% when you have an aging problem. When you're clean, keep it at 25% or higher. But with age, get it below 20%. Try to increase the sale rate there. But as you're taking those cars out, replace them with fresh cars. And then now that you have 18% of your inventory aged, let's start increasing the sale rate on that age. Determine how fast you want to get off that age, 1 month, 2 months, and then replace that again with fresh stuff. So now the next two things that this dealership's going to need to do is get this fresh sale rate increased from 51% to higher, but also get some more of this middle bucket sale rate up. So once we isolate those problems, 17% of the inventory sitting here, that's good. We're starting to squeeze off. You can see the yellow and orange lines are going down. The problem is we need to increase the sale rate on them. We were back here. We need to get these sales going. So if that's the case, isolate those cars, figure out what cars are causing those problems, making sure the leads and everything are being followed up with. I'm not trying to do it. I don't want to do a demo here. I just want you to be aware of what's going on. But that's how you don't want to handle your inventory. Let cars bleed through, clean up the age, get at new fresh cars in, take a breather, let the fresh cars sit so you can try to get your grosses back. And next thing you know, 60 days later, you're back in an age problem, then you're blowing things out again. And then you're just going through the cycle every 60 to 90 days. And if you're involved with used car inventory management prior to COVID, you're familiar with these phases. Again, sometimes dealers, it's a 60-day window. Every 60 days, we build up, blow them out, rebuild back up again. 60 days later, build up, age, blow them out, build back up again if they have an aging policy. If you don't, you probably run through this phase every 90 to 120 days because then you finally get sick of having all these aged cars and you blow them out and you run through it every 3, 4, 6 months, depending on your operations. My point being is we're only 60, 90 days away from kind of this tax season buildup, which again, at the beginning of the video, I showed you is probably going to be a little bit lighter. It was light, 20 to 25% from previous years last year. And I don't know what's coming around the corner. I'm not an economist. I don't know what's coming around the corner. Everybody keeps saying 2023 is going to be a tough and probably recession type year. I think people are going to be tight with their money. So anyways, I would really want to be running lean and clean going into this tax season. I do think it's not going to be any better than last year. And last year was down 25%. And this year, the shopper indexes, I believe here, I can't remember if it was this video or last video. Let me show you what I mean by that. This is, again, Google Trends. People actively going to Google looking for used cars over a 5-year period. This last tax season this year, out of a scale of 100, it was at 75. Okay. That is last 2021, the previous year was 88. Okay. And if you go prior to COVID, because COVID, we were shut down in March tax season, it was at 100. And if you go back to 2018, it was at 100. So basically, this tax season was 25% lower than shopper activity, lower than pre-COVID, and 13% lower than last year. I bring up the fact that I don't think this tax season will be as good or better because right now we're at 43 out of 100. And we haven't even hit Christmas yet. Why do I say that? Because last Christmas was the valley and it hit 50. So after Christmas is over, it shoots back up. We're not even at Christmas yet. My guess, we're probably going to be in the 30s in the shopper index. So it's going to take a lot for that shopper activity to exceed last March activity. Interest rates still high, so forth. So let me go back to here. So I would be really prepared. Don't have your inventory going in and out of these cycles, blowing out age, replacing them, taking a while, holding out gross, going, oh, that sucked. Let's get back to selling cars and making money, holding out, turning fresh inventory because you just paid high dollars for it and it took too long to get photos and it just hit my lot. So get it a few more times. That cycle I showed you that dealer ran through in the last 60 days is exactly what you'll continue to run through month after month, quarter after quarter, mid-year after mid-year. So keep it lean and clean. If you'd like to see how we can help you, lotpop.com. Check it out. And we have the university. Go to Lotpop U. We do a 1.5-day class here in our office. You have access to it. Okay. We also have Work the Facts book. Those charts I just showed you and how to track and trend metrics, I got them all in a book right here. Just go to workthefacts.com. Matter of fact, a lot of our charts I have in here are QR code, a video kind of explaining what metrics you want to look at to work what's factually happen on your lot. Market data, auction data, it's going to be a little skewed for a while, but what you can control is what's happening on your lot. Workthefacts.com will help you through that. Hope this was helpful.